Welcome back to the Balancing Act podcast. I'm Andy Temte. On the Balancing Act, we talk to business leaders and industry experts to explore the balancing acts we play in our professional lives and learn about the events that put rocket boosters behind their career success. Today, we have Bolaji James joining us. Bolaji is the head of global trade marketing and retail operations at Bose Corporation. Yes, the speaker and all of that, everything Bose does. With over 19 years of experience, he specializes in bridging the gap between high-level brand strategy and boots-on-the-ground retail execution. Bolaji is also a member of Cohort number 1 from the Kaplan Leadership Program, which is supported by the Kaplan Educational Foundation. And so that's what we're here to do today. All of my listeners know my affinity for Kaplan and especially the Kaplan Educational Foundation. So welcome to the show, Bolaji.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm really excited to talk to you today. I ask all my guests this question. Please give us the elevator pitch version of your story.
Yeah, thank you. I was born and raised in Nigeria until about 16 years old after graduation when I moved to the United States, where I now call home. While my career actually started in vision care technology, doing glasses, contact lenses, I since transitioned into the world of business with experiences across analytics, shopper insights and research, trade marketing, revenue growth management. And today I serve as the head of trade market retail operations across the consumer electronics premium business of Bose. I lead the Americas as well as global travel and aviation, where I lead at that intersection between trade market, between brand equity and commercial discipline, essentially responsible for ensuring that our premium brand vision is executed absolutely relentlessly and consistently across regions. That's what I do.
Yeah, I can imagine how important that is for a premium brand like Bose.
Yeah.
Bolaji, if you had to pick an event in your life that just really accelerated your career, what would that be?
Oh, that's an easy one. That's being part, as you stated, being part of the first member of Cohort 1 of the Kaplan Leadership Program by the Kaplan Educational Foundation. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get into the Kaplan Leadership Program, but in your own words, from your own perspective, can you give our listeners a brief primer on what is the Kaplan Educational Foundation?
Yeah. So most people who know me know I am big on quotes. And I remember this quote by a leader once we were at offsite. It was by anonymous, and it went, set a goal so big you could never achieve it until you grew into the person who can. And that's such a meaningful quote because I think it very, very much summarizes what the foundation does, right? So the leadership program dares its students to grow, to dream so big. But here's the beautiful thing about the foundation. They actually mold you into the person who can. It's not a scholarship program where you get a check and they ask you to come back periodically, check it. That's not how this works. You are when I say molded, you get academic advisement, you get stipends to just allow you to focus in school. You get school tours, you get exposure to industry leaders. It really truly develops you into that person who can achieve that goal. Very special program indeed.
Yeah, I during my time at Kaplan, I was so proud to know that the company that I worked with and for, that I was giving my time and talents to, had started such a noble venture, and didn't just start it, but just really leaned into its mission, and to see individuals like yourself here in at this stage of their careers, and having the Kaplan Educational Foundation and the leadership program be that rocket booster moment in your career is just it's so inspiring.
Yep. No, it truly is. It absolutely is the reason I am here today.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, let's dive a little bit deeper in your journey. You were member of the first cohort. How did you get connected with the Kaplan Educational Foundation? Where was that connection point first? And then, follow on question is, in what way was the leadership program most impactful during your time as a scholar?
That's such a good question. I think we could have an entire podcast just on that topic, but I would try my best to summarize it. But I do need to thank two people for the connection. The first is I worked at the time at the New Student Center at New York City College of Technology as a work study student, and there is someone, Debbie Boyd, who essentially aided transfer students. She was a transfer student advisor. So Debbie, if you happen to see this, thank you. She literally came over to me and said, there is this program and I think it'll be a good one for you. And not only did she say that, she goes, oh, and when you do it, I want to proofread your essays. And I go, okay. But then every day I went to work, she would ask me, have you done it? Now, here's the other part of it. The other person I really do owe a big thank you to. Her name is Veronica James, who was my girlfriend at the time and now is my wife. I'm talking about 20 years ago.
Nice, nice.
And Veronica also came from the United States. The difference, so came to the United States from Ecuador. The difference, though, being I had financial aid. She was working and paying for her own school fees while going to school. I remember talking to her, going, Debbie keeps asking me about this essay. I don't want to write a darn essay. I have 18 credits plus work and all this stuff going on. And she paused to me and go, you know, I pay my school fees, right? If I had to write an essay for support, don't you think I'd do it? And in that moment, I realized just how how silly it was. And I go, you know what? You're absolutely right. So I wrote that essay. Debbie Boyd proofread that essay, and that turned into the most remarkable thing that's ever happened to me, right? So I say that to mean, yes, that's how I got into the foundation and the leadership program. But as far as the other part of this question, I think it's important to understand where I came from, and I say that to mean as a Nigerian, I grew up. My teachers look like me. My doctors look like me. My president looked like me. Anyone associated with what you might call success looked like me. So coming to the United States, it was quite a culture shock for me, and that's very important because Jennifer Ben, who was at the time the executive director of the foundation and a Spelman graduate, which is a sister college of Morehouse, actually told me, I think you would benefit from going to Morehouse. And I remember going on this tour with Nancy Sanchez, who at the time was actually the academic advisor, very earlier on in the program. And I broke down because here I was finally in a place where I was sitting amongst brilliant minds that looked just like me. And that is so important because what it did for me upon graduation, and so it's important to understand that Morehouse wears a crown above the heads of its students and dares them every day to grow tall enough to wear it. It still sits with me. So I graduated with a renewed sense of confidence in who I am, and a pride in what I've accomplished, but not just me, but what my co-graduates were going out there to accomplish. It was a really special thing for me, I would say, not just, again, what I got from it and how the program, I would say, enabled the person I have turned out to be.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Now, Bolaji, let's transition to your life after graduation from Morehouse back in 2009. And let's talk about the lessons that you learned during your time as a scholar that have helped you in your career. If you had to pick two of the most important lessons, what would those be?
Yeah. The first one is having an open mind. I think it's important to know that when I joined this foundation, and I was in a survival mode, if you may, right? And I think the first lesson is nothing great that would have happened to me would have been planned by me, because my uh, my exposure to the world was so limited, right? And there was no chance that I could have thought that further out, or I could have dreamt even that big, right? I think the second part of it, which continues to pay dividend to me, and at least how I've managed my career, is that exposure that the program allowed me to industry leaders, right? Very quickly, you learn to reach out to folks, understand how they got to where they got to, but more importantly, now that they are there, what did they wish they knew? Right? Right. So, and that going into my first job with Colgate Palmolive, I remember sitting there with a leader going, I love where you are, and tell me how you got there. And then there was the one thing he said when I said, so what do you wish you knew? He goes, I wish I took a sales role. It would just make me such a well-rounded professional where I am. And I go, noted. So what do? Planned my career accordingly, needed to take that sales role. Every role that I did and how it built upon each itself to where I am today. And I think that's one of the joys of knowing it's okay to reach out and having that exposure. Some of the things that just leaves with you when you leave the foundation.
Yeah, it's such an important lesson for all of our listeners. This is my old mentor, Carl Swazer. He's still with us. He and my listeners have heard me say this before, that if you're not moving, you're standing still, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so if you don't extend yourself, if you don't reach out, if you don't ask questions, you're going to find yourself in essentially the same place that
Absolutely.
you are today. So
Yeah,
what a,
absolutely.
what a great lesson. Bolaji, we're going to take a really short commercial break and we'll be right back. Want to understand money, markets, and the economy to make better financial decisions? I'm Andy Temte. Join me every Saturday morning for Money Lessons with Andrew Temte on YouTube or your favorite podcast streaming service. And we're back with Bolaji James talking about the Kaplan Educational Foundation and now careers in marketing. Bolaji, we have something in common. We both hold undergraduate degrees in economics, but we are not working in the field of economics today. I went into education and finance and ultimately ended up in a CEO role. You've moved into marketing in a really prominent global brand, but a lot of people suffer from the bias that degrees in economics are not the path to job success. Tell us how your training in economics is helping you in your current career choice in marketing.
Yeah, no, it's a very good question. I think two things comes to mind. At first, I go, it's almost as saying it's a liberal arts degree of the business world. It's always what it feels like. It's such a degree that allows you to tap into so many different things, right? So I tap into my money and banking courses. I tap into my economics course. I tap into my calculus courses. I tap into the elective intro to law, business law courses that I took. I think it just allows for that agility when it comes to managing my career, and the ability to pick up and do many things. I think that's the beauty, I would say, of economics. You really can do, you can do anything. And I think that's what makes it amazing. I have friends who went into investment banking, and I have friends who just went the finance route, right? So I would say it definitely has been the one thing that allowed me to be agile, allowed me to try something new and really tap into many. It's the one degree I would say you get to tap into what you actually learned in school as you build your career. So absolutely, fantastic course. I recommend that to anyone. for
Yeah,
sure.
I'm a big fan of economics
Oh, yeah.
as that starting point.
Oh, yeah.
Engineers are very similar. You know, a lot of people go into engineering, but then they branch off and they go in lots of different directions. So the lesson here, the thing I want to get out of this question for listeners is there are degrees that on the surface look like they lead to nowhere, and economics is one of them. The reality of it is, if you're moving, if you're shaking, if you're always out there looking, that degree can really, really help build a career. So,
Absolutely. I mean, by all means, don't do economics if you want to be a cardiac surgeon. I mean, there's
yeah.
there's that caveat there, but no, it is a fantastic degree to have, especially if you're not sure, but you really know you love the business world, in my opinion, anyway,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. Well, Balaji, I like to run what I call mentorship moments. So you now have a high school student sitting right in front of you right now, and they have multiple challenges in their lives. They want a better future for themselves, but they feel stuck and alone. What's your advice to this individual?
Well, the fact that this high school student is in front of me wanting a better life, congratulations, you're on your way there. I think that's the first thing I would say. Now, the second thing I would say, which is something that I wish I knew when I was in that state, at least coming to the United States and not knowing the country as much at 16 when I moved here, is the resources that you have and can tap into. You reach out to your teachers, your guidance counselor, your principal, even the fact that you show that initiative and you ask questions, they're willing to either point you in the right direction. You access to resources that helps you fine tune it, but don't be afraid to ask questions. Just ask. I don't think you expected to know it all, but the fact that you're in front of me, and wanting to be better, I think you'll be fine. I'm not worried about that student. Rather, wrap my hands around you and say, how can I be of service?
Yeah. And if you get an answer that maybe doesn't feel like that individual's behind you, ask again. Reach
Yes,
out to somebody else.
yes,
Keep moving and keep
yes,
asking.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
for sure.
There are people out there who would happily help. And I think that's the one thing we take for granted often, or maybe just don't expect, which is a big learning for me.
Right. Well, let's continue this mentorship moment. Now you've got the parent or guardian of that same high school student sitting right in front of you. They also come from this challenged background. Education and a bigger career isn't something that, comes naturally to them. What's your advice to these parents or guardian to help them support the aspirations of their child?
Yeah, and I think you nailed it in the end. Oftentimes, a child like that has a parent who, quite frankly, might be struggling themselves, right? And I think the biggest, and this I can tap into this in my own experience as well. The biggest advice I would have is listen to your child and try to connect. And I say try to connect in a way. It could be honestly something as simple as bedtime talks, all right, or even first their curiosity and do something with the community that bonds you. Go to a soup kitchen, clean a park. But in doing so together, there's a connection that's fun. And also you do a few things. One, the child starts to appreciate what it is they have and the value of giving and a sense of purpose, if that makes sense. But then in so doing, you as a parent might learn something. And you as a parent starts to almost reparent yourself in so doing. I have a 7 and 5 year old, so this holds true to even my life today. Absolutely, I'll say connection, very important, very important.
Yeah, excellent. Balaji, let's have a little fun as we close out the show, shall we?
Yeah.
Few lightning round questions. So you've just won $100 million lotto jackpot, but there's a stipulation that half of your net winnings go to one philanthropic organization or a general cause. Who do you pick?
That's an easy one. It's going to the leadership program, the Kaplan Leadership Program by the Kaplan Educational Foundation. I'm giving that back. It's such a unique organization. There's none like it. And honestly, deserves that and then more. That's an easy one.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Because
yeah,
that's why I'm here.
y-
Absolutely.
yeah. Well, it was like we were playing t-ball, and I set the ball on top on top of the tee for you there. Absolutely. And the thing that I would mention is, Kaplan Leadership, the Kaplan Educational Foundation is, it's a smaller organization based on the East Coast. There are other organizations. There's nothing exactly like the Kaplan Educational Foundation, but there are other organizations in your community that you can support if this kind of message is resonating with you as a listeners, and seek those out and get involved. It's
Absolutely.
very important.
Absolutely.
Bolaji, I now give you access to a really little time machine, and you can send a message to an earlier version of yourself. What's the message, and what previous version of yourself do you send it to?
I will send it to the 17-year-old version of me who moved out of his parents' house and is living by himself, had a room. I was working at a grocery store, writing deliveries and making money and feeding himself and paying his rent and phone bill off of the tips that he earned. But I remember this version of me at night would struggle and just go, wow, where am I? That version of me needed a hug. So we'll start with that version of me could have used a hug. I will give that version of hug. But then two things. One, that dogged determination and work ethic will serve you well. Never lose it and keep an open mind. You'll be fine.
Bolaji, we're all works in progress. We're always learning, always growing. What are you focused on right now in your personal journey of growth?
That's family for me. Absolutely. I have a beautiful 7-year-old daughter and a 5-year-old son, who, gosh, it's so remarkable looking at, seeing life through their eyes. I'm actually rediscovering myself in the process of raising them. And it's the most beautiful thing. I'm truly grateful, for that, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and your dear spouse who gave you that
Oh yeah.
hard
Oh
advice
yeah.
20 years ago.
Oh yeah.
Boy, she really knocked the ball out of the
She
park on
did.
that one,
She
didn't
did.
she?
She continues to do so. It's a beautiful place to be.
Yep, yep, yep.
For sure.
Balaji, it's been fantastic talking to you today, introducing you and your journey to our listeners. I would just remind our listeners that the Kaplan Educational Foundation, you can find them on the web and make a donation. It is a really, really valuable program that I, my wife and I contribute to. We're looking forward to the gala here in.
Thank you for that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we'll
Thank
be
you.
there with bells on, and hopefully you'll be there too, and I'll be able to shake your hand.
We'll do. That's the
All right.
plan. For sure.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
All right. Well, my name is Andy Temte. This is the Balancing Act podcast. You can find us on all the major streaming services as well as out on YouTube. Please like, subscribe, rate, and most importantly, share this public good with your friends, your family, your neighbors, and maybe a colleague. The show is produced by Nick Temte, and we'll see you next time on The Balancing Act.